Yo, what up, YouTube? It's time to make a movie. Or watch my movie, whichever you prefer. Yeah. But I think tonight gonna be good cause tonight I wanna talk about something that kinda meant something special to me when I was growing up. 'Cause I grew up in the 90s. So we had Pogs. And no, I'm not talking about thick white women. No, but we had these little cardboard pieces, and they had graphics on the front. Some had Garfield, some had Power Rangers, some had Looney Tunes, Mustang, Coca Cola, whatever. Man, they had everything, man. It's like at our time in our era, that was our shit, cause like we didn't really have a lot of video games. Like we had video games, but we had like NES and shit. So we was outside most of the time. We played that shit like late at night. So like we weren't like the kids today sitting in the house playing park on NBA 2K. We got our ass outside, but yeah. And then when we went outside, we had Pog battles. It was like Pokemon battles, kind of like. 'Cause I remember I'd be walking down the street, a motherfucker that pop out the corner, I battle you, man. He ain't know, like you don't even know a dude had Pogs, but I pulled out Pogs out of my pocket. And I know, and I had the most notorious slammers. I was slamming it down like a heroin addict. Pause. Yeah, I'm dang the pause. Wait, I don't know. Anyway, but no, like I remember one time walking with my mama, and then this dude just came out of nowhere like, I battle you. And I looked at my mama. She looked at me. She like, you better whoop his ass. I lost all my pogs though, but she had bought me some more. But it's the man she's trying to turn me into B. Facts 100. But other than that, yeah, we finna get into this nostalgia of a toy I used to play with when I was a kid. I gotta try to keep speaking up. It's hard for me. I'm a more relaxed type of dude. But I'm gonna try to do this because I know my mic keep going in and out. They like talk louder, homie. Oh damn, yeah, y'all gotta forgive me, but yeah, let's get into it. Facts 100.
Hey there, everybody! Welcome back to the channel.
Oh
Today
yeah,
we're diving.
I gotta shout out the channel. I mean, man, it's Easy Crates. Yeah, like and subscribe. I already liked and subscribed, so yeah, let's get into it. Facts 100.
Into a playground craze of the 1990s. Pogs. How a stack of cardboard caps took over recess and then disappeared almost overnight. But before we start slamming, I want to give a quick shout out to vidIQ, the tool that I use to research topics, tune titles, and thumbnails, and see what exactly is trending. Hit the vidIQ link in the description to try it out and support the channel. I really appreciate it. Hey, and while you're down there, subscribe and consider joining as a member. It's a new thing I'm trying out. We've got the 99-cent club, which gives you a rolling shout out at the end of videos, and the $5 Bill Murray, which ups the ante with early access to new videos. So give it a shot. I really appreciate it. And if you want, check out some of my original merch at the Easy Shop. Anyway, let's get back to it. This is Easy Remembers Pogs, the rise and fall of a 90s cardboard craze. Remember Pogs? The tiny cardboard circles that somehow hijacked entire playgrounds?
Hell yeah.
They destroyed friendships and then
I love the
seemingly
holographic
vanished
ones.
overnight.
I thought these shits was gonna
sure.
expensive
I had
one
them.
day.
I even had the Pog Maker. So where did they come from and what happened to them?
I heard that.
Well, let's talk about it. There was a time in the mid-90s when the coolest kid at school wasn't the one with the best sneakers or the newest console. It was the kid who walked onto the playground with a heavy plastic slammer and a fat stack of cardboard circles stuffed in a Crown Royal.
He said plastic slammers. Yeah, so like the slammers depend on your skill ability. So like me, I used the thick metal slammer. Cause like I had to slam, like I wasn't like that gifted. I had to slam shit hard and try to not get over. But some people they use techniques, so they use like plastic slammers or thin metal slammers. It is a multitude of slammers. Yeah.
Bag. If you were there, you remember the sound. That
Hell
sharp
yeah.
whack of a slammer hitting the stack, the flutter of caps scattering across the concrete, everybody leaning in to see which ones landed face up and who just cleaned house. It felt like a mix of skill, luck, and pure playground chaos, all packed into a 3-inch circle. It was a treasure, and just as fast as
Be
it
a
took
fight,
over your
too.
life, it was gone. One year, you were begging your parents for another tube of
Yeah,
Pogs
see,
at
you
the
put
grocery
shitty
store
Pogs
checkout,
like him.
agonizing
Put
over
that
which set
down
had the
like
coolest
originals of
hologram
him.
or the weirdest cartoon skull. The next year, those same tubes were sitting in a yard sale box for 50
Yeah.
cents, right next to the Beanie Babies with Broken
Beanie
Dreams
Babies went
and a
up,
copy
though.
of
Them
Space
shit's
Jam
like-
on VHS.
Oh, that's
Pogs
just
were one of those
nostalgia.
flashes of the 90s that burned insanely bright and then just evaporated. So how did this thing start? How did a bunch of juice caps and milk lids turn into a global craze that sold billions of pieces? They even got banned in schools around the world. And then, just like that, disappeared before a lot of us even made it into high school. To answer that, we have to roll the tape back. Long before neon slammers and foil-pressed logos. Back to when Pogs weren't a brand at all. They were just trash. Or, if you were a bored kid on an island with nothing better to do, they were toys. Decades before Pogs hit the 90s mainstream,
Oh, yeah, hockey players.
kids in Hawaii were already playing with little cardboard discs that sealed glass milk bottles. These were simple milk caps, printed with dairy logos and basic designs. There's a strong theory that the game itself traces back to Menko, a Japanese card flipping game brought over by immigrants, where you'd slam a heavier piece down to flip flat cards or tiles off the ground. Japanese workers brought that idea with them. Hawaiian kids adapted it to whatever they had around. And suddenly, these milk caps weren't just packaging anymore. They were ammo
Somebody
for a
had a
simple,
good idea. They're
addictive
like,
little game.
let's
By the
make
middle
Pogs.
of the 20th century, cardboard milk caps were starting to disappear as packaging changed. Plastic and new sealing methods pushed the old caps towards extinction. But in Hawaii, some local dairies held on to the idea. Companies like Halikala kept producing old-style cardboard caps as promotional freebies, partly because they were cheap branding and partly because kids liked to collect and play with them. They were colorful, and they were free, and they were everywhere. Then, in 1971, Halikala, that very same company, launched a new tropical juice blend, Pog, passion fruit, orange, and guava. If you grew up in the 90s
Okay.
mainland, Pog might sound like just the name of a game. But in Hawaii, it was a drink first. To promote this fruity sugar
That was a
bomb,
woman.
the dairy printed fun cardboard caps with the Pog logo and mascots and handed them out. These promo caps didn't exactly seal bottles, but they looked and felt just like the old milk covers. The kids treated them exactly the same way as before. They collected them, they traded them, and they flipped them against each other in that old island game. At this point, nothing about this screamed future global craze. This was still a local thing. Island kids on recess with free cardboard trash from a dairy. They were just playing a simple flipping game that their parents and grandparents had played before them. No blister packs, no foil logos, no official slammers. Just kids, cardboard, and gravity. Then a teacher walked into the story and accidentally lit a fuse. In the early 90s, Blossom Glabizo,
Oh?
a teacher and guidance counselor at Wailua Elementary School on Oahu, remembered the milk cap game from her own childhood. Looking for a calmer, less injury-prone alternative to games
She
like
invented
dodgeball,
Pogs? That's crazy.
she dug up some of those old-style caps and brought them into her classroom. She introduced the game as a fun way to keep kids busy and even work in a little bit of counting and basic math. Her students were instantly hooked. They started playing, collecting, and rapidly mutating the rules the way kids always do. Some played casually, some played for keeps. And because so many of the caps had the Pog Juice logo on them, they didn't call these things milk caps. To them, they were just Pogs. Local news started to notice. Stories ran about Pog mania, sweeping Hawaiian schools.
It took LA
Showing
by storm.
kids
I know
crowded
that.
around stacks of caps, screaming when a slammer flipped half the pile. Demand for printed caps shot through the roof. Packaging companies, including ones in Canada, were suddenly printing millions of these discs just to keep kids in the island supplied. What had been a nearly forgotten playground game was now a full-on local craze. Still, at this stage, it was mostly a Hawaiian phenomenon, a quirky island obsession. Then a businessman in California saw one of those news stories and had a very different reaction than the rest of us. Where kids saw a game and parents saw clutter, he saw a brand. In 1993, entrepreneur Alan Rapinski, already known for helping turn Armor All into a major car brand, made a deal with Halakila Dairy and its distributors. He acquired the commercial rights to use the Pog name for a game and founded Pog Unlimited, the World Pog Federation, or WPF. In that moment, Pogs stopped being just a nostalgic island pastime and started their evolution into a packaged product with a logo, a marketing plan, and a business model. Rapinski's timing could not have been better. Between 1993 and 1994, the World Pog Federation ramped up production and flooded the mainland market. The discs they produced were thicker and glossier than traditional milk caps, with bright art, wild characters, metallic inks, and bold branding. These weren't just juice promos anymore, they were collectibles. The company cut deals with fast food chains like Burger King and McDonald's, with big entertainment brands like Disney, with sports teams, and with major cartoons and kids' properties. If there was a logo you recognized in the 90s, odds are somebody eventually slapped it on a Pog. Soon in the United States, there were national Pog tournaments, complete with official rules and organized events. There were fan clubs, posters, starter sets, deluxe collector tubes, branded slammers made of plastic, metal, or some suspiciously heavy mystery material. Retailers displayed them like trading cards right at kid eye level. Some news coverage at the time breathlessly predicted that the industry would hit $1 billion in sales at its peak. And factories were reportedly churning out millions of pieces a week just to keep up with demand. And the World Pog Federation wasn't alone. Once kids understood the basic game, every company that could print on cardboard wanted in. Sky Caps, Tezos, and other branded milk caps that tied in the movies, comic books, sports, snack foods, and everything in between. We're talking Jurassic Park, Batman, The Simpsons, NFL teams, anime mascots, generic flames and skulls. Everything became fair game for a round piece of cardboard. Between about 1994 and 1998, estimates suggest that around 10 billion collectible caps of various brands were sold worldwide in at least 30 countries. 10 billion for something that started as a milk lid. That's ridiculous. So why were Pogs so addictive? Part of it was the network and the branding, sure. But the real hook was the way they mashed together three kid obsessions at once. First, you had collecting. There were sets to finish, rare designs to hunt down, holograms and metallic prints that immediately became playground status symbols. Second, you had competition. The game itself took a bit of skill, a bit of aim, a bit of technique. Kids argued endlessly over the right way to play and hold a slammer, or the best angle to hit the stack. And third, whether adults liked it or not, you had something that felt an awful lot like gambling, playing for keeps. The basic.
But I'll tell you the worst thing, bro, is when you get a slammer and you slam it, and the Pogs just stay face down. It's like slide, like that. But it's even worse on the other person because he gotta like slam and try to pop it off the ground. So
rules were simple. Each player put the same number of Pogs into a shared stack, artwork side down. You took a heavier piece, the slammer, and smashed it down onto the stack with as much force and style as your small child wrist could manage. Any caps that flipped face up after you hit them were yours. The rest were restacked. And the next player took their shot. You kept going until every piece had been claimed. And whoever ended up with the most at the end won. Played for keeps, this meant you could walk onto the playground with your favorite shiny holographic Pog and walk away without it 10 minutes later. all because someone with a heavier slammer and better luck wrecked the stack.
I was
That
heavy
feeling,
on my slammers.
that combination
I'm
of risk and
slamming.
reward, that is exactly what pulled kids in and made adults very nervous. Parents started to worry that they were basically sending their kids into a cardboard casino at recess. Teachers watched math lessons dissolve into underground Pog tournaments at the back of the room. Arguments broke out over cheating. Theft became a problem. There were even reports of kids playing for cash or using crude or inappropriate designs on the discs in some schools. By the mid-90s, the backlash was in full swing. Schools across the United States, Canada, Australia, parts of Europe, and beyond, they all started to ban Pogs outright. Officially, they were labeled as too distracting, too competitive, too close to gambling. Unofficially, teachers were just tired of breaking up slammer-related drama every 15 minutes.
That bottomed out for
fad
like
that
PBS
lived
and shit.
died on the
Shit
playground.
nobody watched.
Being kicked off school grounds was a brutal hit. When you take away the main battlefield, the war doesn't last much longer. While kids were busy slamming stacks on the sidewalk, adults were slamming each other in courtrooms. The World Pog Federation aggressively defended the Pog trademark. Their argument was that Pog was a specific brand, and that every other company should be calling their discs milk caps or something else.
Wow.
Competing companies pushed back, saying that kids already used Pogs as a generic term for any of these little cardboard circles, regardless of who printed them. Once a word becomes the thing in the public's mind, it is very hard to stuff it back into a trademark box. At the same time, the market was drowning in product. Knockoff brands and rival companies poured in, printing their own caps, cutting distribution deals with different chains, and undercutting each other on price. It didn't take long for oversaturation to set in. What started as a must-have collectible turned into something you could not escape. When every product, restaurant, and random gas station promo is throwing caps at you, the magic wears off pretty quickly. Inside the World Pog Federation, the story wasn't any prettier. The company had exploded almost overnight into a multi-million-dollar empire. But it grew fast, it spent big, and it did not have much of a plan for what to do once the curve started to flatten.
But this is one thing though, like when corporations know what kids like, they slam that stuff in their face and try to get as much money as possible. So like that's why it got oversaturated. Like, man, kids love this, so everybody doing it, man. Like, I hate that, but it is what it is.
By around 1995, it was already dealing with serious financial trouble, cutting staff and losing its grip on the very craze it helped ignite. Eventually, a private investment group took control. The company rebranded as WPF Incorporated, and its focus shifted away from Pogs entirely. The people who officially owned Pog, at least on paper, walked away from the game while kids were still trading them in the lunchroom. When the company that built the fad is quietly slipping out the back door, you know the wave is already crashing. But the death of Pogs wasn't just about one business failing. It was a perfect little storm of problems hitting all at once. The school bands cut off the main stage. Kids didn't really play Pogs alone in their bedrooms. They played at recess, on the school bus, in big noisy groups, where half the fun was the crowd. Once schools banned the game, that daily ritual collapsed. Oversaturation killed the sense of rarity. At first, having a stack of Pogs felt special. Then suddenly, everybody had stacks. Then everybody had tubes, binders, boxes. They were in cereal. They were in fast food meals. They were at toy stores and comic shops, and hanging by the register at every convenience store. When everything is collectible, nothing feels collectible. Too many knockoffs blurred the identity of the game. The line between official Pogs, other milk caps, Tazos, Sky Caps, promo discs, and weird bootlegs got pretty damn fuzzy. Kids might still have favorites, but the idea of the real thing started to dissolve. On top of that, the World Pog Federation's
another thing is, you notice the quality of Pogs changing, because so I think
pushing
like
advertising,
Pog, the official ones were like
events.
the thick,
in other
nice
words,
ones, and then you had
nobody
the
was
thin
keeping
layer
the hype
ones and
machine
shit,
running.
nobody really
The company
wanted.
that made Pogs a household name ended up being a victim of its own success. All of this happened against a larger backdrop. The late 1990s crash in collectibles. Trading cards, comic books, and all those "this will pay for your college one day" investments got hit hard when people realized they had been overproduced. The bubble burst. Pogs were part of that broader wave that went out with it. By around 1998, the Pog craze was essentially done. Kids had shifted to Pokemon, new video game systems, and the next wave of pop culture obsessions. The cardboard cap empire that tried to conquer the world was reduced to clearance bins, forgotten shoe boxes, and maybe a couple of tubes buried in your closet. Like every good fad, Pogs never completely died. They just slipped into the nostalgia vault. The Pog drink itself stuck around in Hawaii in various forms. The passion orange guava blend outlived the cardboard caps it accidentally inspired. Every few years, someone tries to bring Pogs back, usually leaning hard on nostalgia. In the 2000s, toy companies licensed the brand again and pushed new sets as retro collectibles. More recently, people have floated ideas for augmented reality Pog games, or mobile apps that recreate the slamming and flipping in digital form. So far, none of those attempts has recaptured that early to mid-90s magic. But the fact that people keep trying, well, that does say a lot.
You had
the
to
truth
been
is,
there
Pogs are anchored to a very
and feel
specific moment in time. They belong to an era when kids still traded physical stuff at recess, when cardboard with a cool hologram could feel just as magical as a glowing screen, and when you could genuinely believe that your carefully curated pile of tiny circles might one day be worth a fortune. Now they mostly live in boxes in your parents' attic or in eBay listings. When you strip away the hype, the lawsuits, and the billions of units sold, Pogs were just a really simple kids game. Stack, slam, flip, win, lose. They were also the rush of risking your favorite piece in a single throw. The sound of cardboard on concrete ringing out like a tiny thunderclap. And that strange little social economy of who had the coolest art and who walked away from recess with heavier pockets. Pogs burned bright and burned out. That's exactly what makes them so fascinating to look back on. They're a perfect little case study in how nostalgia, marketing, and kid culture collide. A local classroom game in Hawaii, a juice promotion, a global brand, an overhyped commodity, then gone. Pogs were never really designed to last forever. They were meant to be played, beaten up, lost, and traded away. The fact that we remember them at all might be the most valuable thing they ever gave us. So that's why I gotta ask you, did you play Pogs for keeps? Did your school ban them? And do you still have your old slammers hiding somewhere in a drawer or in a dusty box in the attic? Drop your memories in the comments. I want to hear from you. And one more thing, please remember to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this trip back to the cardboard battlefield of the 90s. Enjoy, my friends. I'll see you next time.
Yo, shout out to Easy Crates, man. That was great, man. That was a trip down memory lane, man. I appreciate that, man. Like, I played Pogs, man. Like I said, it's a nostalgia. You had to been there to witness it. Nobody really do it no more. You can't really. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's people that do it, but it's like friends that still got it. Like, hey, you want to come over and play Pogs? But they ain't playing for keeps. So yeah, that's what you had to do. You had to be there. You had to play for keeps. You had to gamble, man. And that was like shooting dice on the playgrounds and stuff, man. Playing Pogs and man, risking it, bro. Having like, man, risking my Black Ranger Pog or whatever, man. Like just going in, man. And yeah, I love that. I love that. I wish, man. But you know, it is what it is. You know, then I went to Pokemon. Yeah, and shout out to my mama. She bought me one of the dopest packs. Man, I lost it. I seen one of them cards worth $1,000. Wow, and that's coming oversaturated with all these people. What's that like? Running to the Pokemon machines and buying them all up just to resell them, man. Real crazy. Real crazy, man. Let the kids have some damn cards, bro. whatever, man. I'm on that note. I'm gonna get out. 'Cause I'm gonna get emotional. What's that Carl Thomas song? Whatever. Anyway, appreciate everybody, and other than that, good night. Facts 100.